Swadika, welcome to Thailand Today here on NBT World. The Office of Trade Competition Commission or TCC has organized a seminar on Transfer of Trade Competition Act on February 7, 2019 at Impact Exhibition and Convention Center, Muang Thong Thani. The event has been presided over by Ms. Chutima Bunya Praphatsorn, she's the Deputy Commerce Minister. Mr. Santichai Santhawan-Phat, Trade Competition Commissioner and spokesman of the Office of Trade Competition Commission, has revealed following the seminar that today is an official transfer of responsibility of the administration of the Office of Trade Competition Commission from Mr. Bunyarit Kalyanamit, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Commerce and Acting Deputy Chairperson of the Office of Trade Competition Commission, to Professor Dr. Sakul Waranyu Wattana, the current Chairperson of the Office of Trade Competition Commission. Mr. Bunyarit Kalyanamit said according to Trade Competition Act 2017, the Trade Competition Commission will issue regulations and impose guidelines to maintain free and fair trade competition. Furthermore, the Commission will determine plans, strategies, guidelines, and administration to improve the internal structure and set of regulations to be compatible with a variable situation. Therefore, it can be considered that the Trade Competition Commission is a group of people who impose trade frameworks and rules of the country. The Thai Chamber of Commerce (TCC) is confident the Thai economy will expand between 4 and 4.3% this year. Chairman of the TCC, Galin Sarasin, said on February 18, 2019, that the country's economic expansion will be driven by government-sponsored projects and tourism, following the Joint Standing Committee on Commerce, Industry and Banking's projection of 4 to 4.3% growth this year, a range he believes Thailand could achieve even amidst the trade dispute between China and the US, global economic recession and currency fluctuations. The latter could potentially limit this year's export growth at 5%, down from 6.7% the previous year. Glynn expressed his confidence that the Bank of Thailand would be able to maintain the Thai currency at the rate that allows exporters to compete with their international counterparts. He then called on the government to forge economic partnerships, especially via a comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) to boost Thai exports. Mirroring Guild Stanley Kang, chairman of the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce in Thailand, said last year's economic growth allowed the country to regain investor confidence thanks to several investment projects in the Eastern Economic Corridor (EEC). In the meantime, Chiyoshi Inoue, Executive Managing Director of Japanese Chamber of Commerce in Bangkok, said the Thai economy will enjoy growth for the next 5 years regardless of who wins the election, because foreign investment will continue to flow into the EEC's zone. The Eastern Economic Corridor (EEC) Policy Committee revealed 88 projects worth 13 billion baht in a meeting on Friday. Chaired by Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha, the EEC Policy Committee tabled investment proposals from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Labour, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment. The committee was informed of 86 projects being developed along Thai's east coast between 2018 and 2021, and planned to produce as many as 1 million skilled workers over the next 12 years to meet the demand of the industries in the EEC zone and the other special economic areas. The 86 projects require a budget of 13 billion baht. In addition, the committee acknowledged other investment projects, including the high-speed rail project connecting 3 major airports, Suvarnabhumi, Dawnmueang, and Utapao, as well as Phase 3 of the Lam Chabang port expansion and the establishment of an aviation maintenance facility in Thailand's east. Competition policy and law is a vital tool to level playing field to all market participants to create free and fair competition. In accordance with the ASEAN Regional Guidelines on Competition Policy, Thailand enacted an updated version of Trade Competition Act 2017 to show the development of the competition law basing on the framework of the ASEAN Guidelines. Next break, we will talk with a special guest from the Office of the Trade Competition Commission, OTCC, about a new trend of global tourism development. Coming back after a short break.
In 2019, Thailand is ready for ASEAN chairmanship, working together and building solidarity to increase competitiveness and innovation with the people at the center. All sectors are ready to promote unity of the ASEAN community. NBT World is excited to be a full supporter of the Thai ASEAN chairmanship. Keep up to date on ASEAN 2019 movement with NBT World.
Welcome back to Thailand Today here on NBT World. Today we have Mr. Krisada Piempongsan. He's the Deputy Chairperson of the Office of Trade Competition Commission, OTCC. He will tell us why a new model of Trade Competition Commission under the Trade Competition Act 2017 are desirable for consumer welfare and ASEAN economic integration, as well as it to promote trading arena in ASEAN market. So, Sawadee ka.
Sawadee ka.
Well, welcome to Thailand Today program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's so important because we're talking about new model of Trade Competition Commission and trading arena in ASEAN market. Does that mean that we are turning from a paper tiger into real tiger, sir?
Oh, thank you very much for this question. In fact, this is a kind of common joke
okay, that's right.
among the Thai.
Yeah, that's right.
That we are turning into a cat instead of into a tiger. But that aside, I would like to say that this represents a new dimension of competitiveness for Thailand. In fact, people don't understand very much on the competition law and policies vis-a-vis the competitiveness. The competition law and policy is part and parcel of the competitiveness of Thailand, which is now being exposed internationally through rankings. In fact, our ranking has been quite good as far as the competitiveness ranking is concerned. And this is done in Lausanne, in Switzerland. IMD is doing it. But these competition laws and policies are now being adopted by all concerned, including ASEAN countries, except for Brunei Darussalam. So as Thailand is now chairing the ASEAN meetings today, this year, we hope that this is going to open up a new dimension for Thailand's competitiveness as part of the investment and trade in ASEAN. And apart from that, we are also part and parcel of the negotiations for FTA. This is a very important piece of the agreement in the FTAs, no matter whether it is going to involve the EU or, in this case, the regional comprehensive trade negotiations, or RCEP, which includes the 6 other countries who are ASEAN dialogue partners.
Perhaps maybe our audience may be wondering what is going on with the amendment and all that. How about briefly tell us about the background of the Trade Competition 2017, please?
Yes, let me walk you back to
please,
a little bit more. In fact, we used to have a Trade Competition Act 1999.
Yes.
That was a long time ago. And this Trade Competition Act is under the Ministry of Commerce or the internal trade department.
But it's still there.
It has been.
It has been there.
It has been annulled as it is because it's being replaced. It's now being replaced by the new act, Trade Competition Act in BE 2560 or 2017 Anno Domini. And this Trade Competition Act is very special because it provides for various kinds of criminal penalties as well as administrative penalties and tort laws of commerce. So instead of providing only criminal penalties as indeed was in the case, we have changed that, and now it represents a new landmark for international law that we think would be palatable to the investors in Thailand.
So the main duty, how about the main duty of this Office of the Trade Competition?
Well, the main duty, there are a lot of, we are both prosecutors, a law enforcement office. We look at how the business governance being exercised in Thailand internally. So investment in Thailand would have to comply. There is a kind of compliance clause that we have to follow. And we also monitor the practices of businesses in real terms in Thailand. We are also a judge, as it were. The judge in this case, well, of course, we have the court, and we have to go to the court if there should be any disputes on our decision. But we would certainly look into the case first and decide whether it is good enough to go to go for the court or to go to be penalized, as it were, under the present clause of the laws. So we are both the judge and the prosecutors. But in any case, that is still not enough. What we are trying to do at the moment is to do what they call advocacy, which is, we are on the learning curve. You probably be aware that these new competition laws are very new.
It is, yes.
And I have just been on the job for 2 months.
Okay.
And it's good time that we exchange views on this one. But in fact, for other countries, they are old already. For the United States, they have antitrust laws for 100 years. And Canada was the first which was promulgating these laws in the 19th century. So a number of latecomers, let's put it this way, including Thailand, just started their piece of legislation just only 10 years ago, or maybe 17 years ago, at the turn of the century. So since we are very new, and although given the fact that we had been the first in ASEAN to promulgate the laws, but was slow in implementing it. So we have to be very, very quick and very efficient in our implementation of the laws. And so we are trying very hard to advocate the compliance of the laws so that people, both the public as well as the companies, small, medium enterprises, big companies, know what these laws are, which includes of course, the meetings and seminars and compliance rules for companies. We look at how privatization, the best practice of privatization should be done, how the mergers and acquisition should be done, how the monopoly should be viewed at and exercised. You know, to have the market dominance doesn't mean that you are wrong. But if you abuse the market dominance position, then it's subject to the penalties. So we are supposed to be the organization that give judgment and of course investigations on this. We are very much like what you do in the EU, for example. The EU has got its competition commission. You probably follow the news that a number of companies are subject to this legislation in the EU. Also, United States. United States law seems to be quite comprehensive, and they are, the powers that be, as far as the companies are concerned. But then in Thailand, you have sectoral governance. You have sectoral laws. For example, as far as the energy sectors is concerned, or the financial sectors are concerned, we are looking at that. In certain countries, they also look at it. They respect the boundaries of jurisdiction, but they have the final say. Let's put it this way. We at the moment we are saying that our rules and regulations would be subject to the general public. And any other specific laws that would not be satisfied, then probably would have to seek final ruling elsewhere. For example, in this case, it may come to our organization, or it may go to the court. Normally, it goes to the court.
Okay. So what are the main policies of this?
The main policy is to create level playing field. I think this is very, very important, because in order to create this level playing field, it's not enough for the FTAs for the negotiators to negotiate in WTO or for the specific FTAs, because if you enter into the market, then that's where the problems are. So the level playing field, or the charity, let's put it this way, starts at home.
Okay.
You are registered according to the law of the land in Thailand or elsewhere in the
globe.
Yes, globally, and you are subject to the global rules and regulations. And this is something that we are trying to do with these new laws. We have already upgraded, let's put it this way, as it were, this new law to be benchmarked with the international laws as practiced internationally. So I would gather that in the future we would have more and more businesses given these new rules and regulations, and also more investments, as far as the way in which the justice is exercised for their investment here. And it also occurs to me that since Thailand's MNCs now, the multinational corporations, and other businesses are making investment in the ASEAN countries also, and in fact all over the world. You might be surprised to learn that we have quite a dozen full of companies investing in the United States. In more than half of the states in the United States have the representation of the Thai companies there. So we are becoming more and more bigger, but bigger is not necessarily beautiful. So we also look forward to helping the small SMEs who are very new to these laws. We are going to organize, they are on the learning curve. On the cases, on the rules and regulations that may be applicable to the SMEs and to both to the SMEs and to the big companies or to the investors who are coming here. So it's a level playing field that we are creating. It is more attractive to the investors.
So is it the first time that we change? This is the first ever change. I mean, amendment.
Yes, this is the first, not amendment. We just
changing.
Displace. We replace the old law with this one.
The new one.
Yes, the old law being prescribing only criminal penalties.
So now we add up with
now
other
we add
also,
administrative, so to soften the level of the severity.
At least to help out to the foreign side, I think.
Not necessarily, not to help them, not to help them as such, because in our universe, everyone's on his own. But they need to, of course, know the laws, that we are having the same kind of even keel with the international laws that we are having.
I think.
And these courses, these laws are not being taught in universities. You have to learn it outside the universities. Yes, you have to become a legal specialist in order to be that. In certain countries, you have to practice this kind of legal exercises for at least 10 years before you become a commissioner. In Thailand,
how many of we have?
We have 7.
Not bad.
Not bad. Well, it's normal. Other countries also have 7.
Yes.
Certain countries in Latin America have 3. Other countries like United States have, they are bipartisan. They are divided between the 2 parties, as it were. So there are a lot of models for the commissioner. But of course, the idea and the objective is first to help the learning processes, the learning curve of the country, so that we will be able to treat equally both the domestic and the international investors doing businesses here, at least as far as the competition is concerned. And second, to be able to do more on the integration and harmonization of the distinct ASEAN legal frameworks that, as I had said before, most of the ASEAN countries are now having this competition. And this competition law is also special in the sense that we also cover the state-owned enterprises. So, and of course, you know very well that privatization is part and parcel of that. So, so we also provide counsel, for example, or we also provide counsel. That's another thing. But this is initial counsel, unless to the foreigners also, to the investors, if they like. So apart from crossing the border into ASEAN and foster the integration among the ASEAN countries, we also provide, internationally accepted, hopefully, counsel to companies who may wish to ask about M&A or which is now consolidating in the banking sectors, or for the privatization, for the SOEs, and for the monopolistic practices, the dominant market positions, and things like that. And we are also doing the bidding. Look at the bidding, yes. Whether there is going to be a bidding rigging, or whether there's a fixed price or collusion or cartel. So it's not just only monopolistic practices that we are doing. It's a larger universe. And then you have the sectoral regulators that I had mentioned before, and then we can probably try to give them advice also on how they should behave.
You did mention about the importance of this competition law for the ASEAN. So particularly with the ASEAN. So how about when we have it, but how about all ASEAN friends? In the AEC, do they have the same level?
According to the AEC blueprint, which is supposed to finish, to be finalized in 2015, and now we are 2019. Of course.
They will be doing. They're doing.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but sure.
Well, they are also practicing it, because let me cite just one example. Vietnam has done. Vietnam is a very, very good example, because Vietnam had done successfully the FTA negotiations with the EU, with the CPTPP, without the United States, and with the United States, in fact, before the United States withdrew, and with other Central European countries, as well as the Russians. So you can see that Vietnam is very much advanced than Thailand, in the sense that they also already have the agreements with these countries to open the market for them. And of course, Vietnam still have a long way to go, given the SOE's position. But of course, they are now complying to the international rules.
All right. So we'll coming back tomorrow to talk about more on this. So we are coming back to the end of the first part of the interview. So next we'll be focusing on Thailand's role in ASEAN, supported by the Amendment Trade Competition Act. Please stay tuned.
Show Thai to the world, a concept of Siam-style program to introduce you to well-known Thai role models. ultimate amazing tourist attractions. Innovative Thai products. Let's proudly join Siam styles from 4 regions, 77 provinces across Thailand.
Welcome back once again to our program. We still have Mr. Krisada Piampongsan. He will talk to us more on details on the Trade Competition Act BE Competition Act 2017 as an important tool to promote Thailand's role in ASEAN trading arena. So, okay, so we know quite little clear about the Trade Competition Act. But how about now? We're going to go a little bit narrow down into our business. That means in ASEAN. So, what is the important role of Thailand in ASEAN?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Thailand is chairing the ASEAN meetings.
We're going to share.
The Prime Minister probably down would have to share the meetings, and this is part and parcel of the ASEAN, 300 maybe more, 300 plus meetings
yes.
that we are going to have. But it doesn't mean that all the meetings will be held here in Thailand. It could be held, elsewhere. And of course, as far as the AEC Blueprint 2015 is concerned, we are fostering more integration, economic integration, especially among the ASEAN countries 10. And of course, ASEAN is now negotiating with 10 other economies or countries with ASEAN under the Regional Comprehensive Trade Agreement Partnership, RCEP. So these three forces are converging on this soil, and one thing that remains is for the decision of the ASEAN AEC Blueprint to implement and to set up the organization that is uniquely responsible for the competition laws and policies. So we have already complied, and most of the ASEAN countries already complied to this decision of the AEC Blueprint. We are now delivering the organization. It's being separated out from the Ministry of Commerce. Not necessarily there is a divorce, but of course we are still linked to certain aspects of the ministry, because the range of the gamut of the laws would cover not only the Competition Act as such. We need some other tools from the ministry. For example, the Price Control Act, which is a real Democratic sword.
Yes.
And it's more effective. But of course, we would like to leave that behind. We would like to create a perfect market information so that everybody knows what everybody else is doing. This is transparency. The first cardinal rules for doing this competition laws and policy is to create more transparencies in the companies as such, and for the companies that are making investment in Thailand also. So it's creating a level playing field, not only among ASEAN, because it's applicable in MFN to other countries also. And this is the first message that the investors must know that we already put in place the organizations and the laws that would be beneficial and pro-business for the foreign companies who are making investment here. Coming back to ASEAN, ASEAN has now, well, for example, ASEAN being fraught with heavy state enterprises, let's put it this way. And of course, national security aside, a certain number of state enterprises which are in existence in certain countries of ASEAN would have to face the dire consequence of having negotiated FTA with the partners. They either have to abolish or transform or privatize some of them, some of their SOEs.
Depends on the situation of
depending on the national security and the law of the land. We cannot force them. But something that can be done is to do advocacy. So ASEAN has now giving a green light to the Philippines to do a feasibility study on establishing an academic institute to teach the public that
on
this because you cannot find it in universities. You cannot find it in the university courses. Although a number of Thai professors had said that, oh, this is something that I did when I did the PhD, but in Thailand, nothing there.
I see.
And even the for the famous Research and Development Institute, they have very small database on this also, because sometimes it's very difficult to deal with the trade secrets, and the companies are very sensitive in that respect. So one of the objectives of the ASEAN blueprint is for ASEAN to create a digital training center, which is now being done by Singapore. And you can go, clicking on your computer and have a look at it. That is there already. Then Philippines had the Philippines
education part of it.
Education part of it. Okay. This is the advocacy of the education for the public. And this is something that we are trying to do for the CLMV, the Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Whether they like it or not, we have already done some training for. I mean, we being the Thai government for the trade negotiators from ASEAN. This is under the ITD, International Trade Development. But the Trade Competition Act is something that is a rare species, because you will not negotiate under FTA. This is the law of the land.
But it's already written.
It's written. 100 years already by the United States, and in the 19th century by the Canadian.
Why can't we go accordingly to what we have written?
Yes, we are. We are now complying with what has been written in the AEC blueprint. We already delivered the organization. We already delivered the laws and policies, and now we are doing some extension. We are looking at how to extend this to the public and to the firms especially, because they have to, in other countries, for the firms to be able to operate legally, they would have to write in their book, in their policies, that this is the policies of compliance. For the firms, we use the word compliance. Compliance is like human rights. This is the company's right, and they would have to comply to not only the ethics but to the laws of the land. And because investors would have to be registered here, they are subject under the Thai laws. But I'm saying this not because we are going to persecute them. No. We are pursuing a policy in which we are going to do advocacy as a priority.
That's what we are moving up already. From not doing the advocacy, but we do it still.
We are now
doing it. So that is
in the past also, the Ministry of Commerce did a lot of advocacy, but this time we are going to go international also. We hope to be able to attract resource persons from international organizations like OECD, like UNCTAD, like the World Bank, like an Australian ACCC, like some others. So these countries are very much interested in, or organizations are very much interested in coming to Thailand, not because we are so attractive, but we are, of course, but we have the potentials to take the opportunity of taking this opportunity of becoming a chair of ASEAN. Next year we are not going to be. Next year it's going to be Vietnam, I think. So we are going to take this opportunity to prove the pudding by eating it. In other words, we are going to practice what we preach. And this is what the investors are looking at. If we are going to have the EEC, if we are going to have more investments coming in, if we look at Thailand as a hub for investors, this is the laws and policies first. The laws is there for the framework. The policies is something very important, and advocacy is the tool in which we will be able to promulgate the laws, educate them, and train them on the policies.
There will be 3 pillars here.
Yes.
It's so important that. So what are the responsibility of Thailand? We did talk about this there. ASEAN, especially ASEAN Share in 2019.
Well, the responsibilities, anything under the sun. We can, in fact, as you can see, that the public doesn't know very much Thai.
But we need to educate, because the Thai
there will be, at the moment we are educating the Thai public by teaching them on an ad hoc basis.
Especially a very good sign that the AEC people, I think in Chonburi, Chachangsao, they start learning things.
Of course. They have to learn also the ASEAN languages and the laws. So the big companies knows already. They have their own trusty legal advisors to be able to explain to them what to do and what not to do. It's like the cultural training in Thailand, for example. Very sensitive. And this is something that we will inculcate and educate the Thai public and the Thai small SMEs, medium enterprises, and even the micro, if you're talking about the digital divide that we are having. Because the digital divide is something for the next generation of the Thai entrepreneurs. So if we are going to have to equip both the new generation of the Thai entrepreneurs, the SMEs, and of course the compliance for the big companies, I think we are home free. I think this is the first task that and a priority that we have to accomplish, maybe even during the chair of the Thai ASEAN meeting.
With the new model, so is it already started in the company?
It's already started.
Yes. Can you give us like for example for some company or something?
I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you. But they are probably in the what channel? Excuse me. In the internet.
Okay.
In the internet. If you click on, and have a digital view on certain rules and regulations that the companies would have to comply when they invest. In other countries.
Invest in other country.
Yes.
But they are safe and sound here.
There are companies, basically we have a collection of the foreign companies who would have to go to their board and ask for these legal issues, trying to legitimize their existence in the countries that they invest in. The board would have to give them the authorization to comply. Okay. To write a book of compliance. Exactly. And this would have the stamp of approval of the board. You have to go all the way to the board, to the head. And in Thailand, we are doing that. I can cite you. You can also search it under Google. And this is something that we can do for ASEAN. We have.
I think we have to be strong and help each other for this matter, especially ASEAN friends who are like.
Of course, we have a very an inner circle of commissioners, and OTCC is the office of the secretariat, and we have very capable secretariat. Even though they are very young, they are very, and we have mingled with the experiences. So the law would need both the experiences and the new generation that are internationalized.
Yeah, we could see that some younger generation of Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam, they have been coming up, they've been having joined up.
The laws are there.
And all that.
The laws are there already. for these very small countries, but not very small, but big, very important to ASEAN.
Yeah, very interesting. So what will be the direction of ASEAN competition law in the future?
In the future, we would probably look at how to harmonize the regimes, because there are different regimes. Certain countries have 1,000 SOEs. I understand that we have about 50, not to be outdone. And this is something that we have to look at. We need to look at individual countries' regimes, whether they are harmonizing with the international rules and regulations. If not, then there would have to be discussions and training and doing by learning. And this is something that learning by doing. This is something that we look forward to. We hope that with this OTCC and our commissioners will be able to help the CRMV. And in fact, our chairman has just been back from France, OECD. OECD is going to host a meeting in Thailand. Okay. You are invited
Thank you.
to the meeting on the 27th. From 27th to the 31st of May. 27 to March is
you don't know who's going to be in.
Yes, 27 to 31st of May.
Yes.
And the 30th and 31st would include the judges. And you're not allowed to. But on the 29th, it's open for the public. And you can join.
Thank you.
We certainly would like to welcome.
Thank you. We'll see what we can do.
And apart from that, we are going to do more of the PR, the public relations. We have put a lot of resources, and will do in the future, in the digital technologies. In the we have people who belongs to the PR of the organizations, of the state organizations, including the SOEs. So we will try to do our best to emphasize this. Apart from that, we are going to set a national competition day for Thailand. ASEAN has its own ASEAN competition day, which is in September. We are in September, towards the end of the year. But our laws had been promulgated on the 5th of October. So the 5th of October is our birthday, and the national competition day. But this has we are still writing for permission to hold it, and we are going to recognize the companies who are doing their compliance. They have to, as I had said before, they have to go to the board and ask for the compliance book to the rules, and make it public that this is something that they will do or not do. So this is something, and that we are not going to rank them, because it's risky. We are going to do a kind of transparency on the sectors of Thailand. That would be good for the companies to make investment in.
In fact, what's your expectation?
I'm optimistic, because we are only on board for 2 months. I cannot really say that this is not good. Otherwise, I would not have applied for it.
You cannot be intoxicated by it.
Of course, you cannot be too optimistic.
Yes.
But you cannot be pessimistic either. I mean, this is something that every country is practicing it. You cannot find it on the table of the negotiations anywhere, except for certain what they call high standard FTA, like the CPTPP, RCEP, or with the United States and the EU. So these countries have already got their laws and policies that should be universally applicable as we do.
Okay. Thank you, and
Thank
wish
you
you all
very
the
much.
best for
Thank
your
you very much.
undertaking. We are at the end of our program. Thanks to Mr. Krisada Pimpongsan. Thank you very much, sir, for being here, and please let us know when you done something.
Certainly, yes.
Okay. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Very soon.
Well, we end up our program with thanks and looking forward to see you again, and hope you enjoy the show. สวัสดีค่ะ